Oh, hi everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about the timing of a presentation. What I mean by timing of a presentation is how the presenter uses their time while speaking. And there's two main parts to my message to you today. The first is that in timing, we want to make sure that going into our presentation, we know about how long our presentation is. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is going into the presentation, we want to have a balanced timing. So the first point is that we want to make sure we're using our time well and we know how long or how short our presentations are. Obviously, we want to avoid having a presentation that's too long and one that's too short. And the best way to prepare is to practice with a clock. It's important as you're practicing out loud and in front of a mirror to pay attention to how long your practice is. So if you were to practice 5 times, keep track each time of how long your presentation is, and that will give you a good idea of your timing. You know, it's really evident to me when, as a teacher, I see students presenting and they're just going really, really long, or their presentation's really, really short. You know, that's evidence to me that students have not prepared. And we don't want to just leave our timing up to chance and say, oh, I hope my presentation's long enough. We really want to prepare by using a clock as we practice, and that will give you a good idea of maybe you need to cut something out, or maybe you need to add something in a part of your presentation. So, in summary, for this first point, you must practice the timing of your presentation before you speak. Okay, the second point is that with timing, you need to make sure that you have a balanced presentation. What I mean by balanced is that your introduction, body, and conclusion are taking up the appropriate amount of time. Let's take a 5-minute presentation, for example. In a 5-minute presentation, it's good to have 1 minute as your introduction, 3 minutes for the body, and then 1 minute for the conclusion. That's a very balanced presentation. The error that sometimes students make is they'll spend maybe 4 minutes on the introduction, 1 minute on the body, and then 1 minute on the conclusion. And we really want to avoid that. So just to summarize this point, having good use of time means that your presentation is balanced and well thought out in how each section of your presentation is laid out in terms of time. So now, how can we prepare to have good timing? And as I said before, you need to practice. Practice with a clock. Pay attention, keep track. But another way is to just look at your outline and think, is my outline balanced? And that will give you an idea of if your timing is balanced. If you have this really long introduction, you just need to be able to cut something out. Or maybe the body of your presentation, you're just looking at it and it's like, wow, that's really short. You need to add something in there. And as a teacher, I can tell when students haven't prepared because usually their presentations go really long or they're really short. So, it's a good indication for me that a student is unprepared if they have bad timing. So if you want to impress your audience and your teacher, it's a good idea to make sure your presentation has good timing. But, one more thing is that timing can also influence your audience's ability to follow what you're saying. For example, if you have a 4-minute introduction, your audience is probably expecting a 15-minute body. And so it can kind of leave them confused if you have this really long introduction but then a really short body and conclusion. And so that can make your presentation seem kind of confusing. All right, so I hope you are able to practice well and practice with a clock so that when you present, you're not worried about whether or not your presentation will be too long or too short, but you know how long your presentation will be. All right, remember, these videos are for your help, so watch them as much as you need to. And I'm Mr. Scott. I'll see you next time.